Let's do a self exploration meditation to understand how sleep is a misnomer. Atmadarshan, Chapter 5. Let's close our eyes. Let's sit comfortably and easily. Have you ever asked yourself the following questions? Why do I like to sleep? Why is sleep so inviting? However attractive and tempting the waking world might seem to be, why do I let it go? Why do I dive into the boring absence of the waking world? Why do I like to sleep? Who sleeps? Does the waker sleep? Assuming I am the waker in the waking world, and assuming that the waker sleeps. How is it that I know the absence of the waker in the deep sleep state? If the waker is absent, then who is knowing its absence? I am clearly knowing its absence. That is why when someone asks me what is there in deep sleep, I confidently say nothing. Who is knowing the nothingness? No thingness is simply the absence of some thingness. Who is knowing the absence of somethingness? I am. This means I am present. This means I am awake. This means I, the knower, am present and awake in the so called deep sleep state, which is the absence of the waker. This means I do not sleep. If I were asleep, then I would not know the nothingness of the deep sleep state. If I were asleep, then I would not know the absence of somethingness in the deep sleep state. If I were asleep, then I would not know the absence of the waker in the deep sleep state. If I were asleep, then I would not know the absence of the waking world in the deep sleep state. I, the knower, am awake and aware that not only the waker is absent, but also its waking world is absent. The attractive and tempting objects of the waking world are also absent. The repulsive objects of the waking world are also absent. I always knew this, even when I was a child. As a child, when I was asked the question, what is there in deep sleep? I confidently answered nothing. I knew the answer as a child as well. I am awake. I am present. I am the knower. In fact, I am knowingness itself. Then who sleeps? Who is the sleeper? Is the waker asleep? Is the dreamer asleep? No, there is no one asleep. In fact, there is nothing like sleep. The waker never sleeps. Otherwise, I, the knowingness, would have known the sleeping waker. The dreamer never sleeps. Otherwise, I, the knowingness, would have known the sleeping dreamer. In reality, all I know is the absence of the waker and the dreamer. I never know a sleeping waker nor a sleeping dreamer. All I know is the absence of the waker and the dreamer in the deep sleep state. This means that the waker and dreamer are either present or absent. They are never awake nor asleep. Only I am awake in the so called deep sleep state. I know I am present. That is why I know that there is the absence of something. Earlier, when I used to assume that I was absent in the deep sleep state, that was ignorance. Now I know that I am present. In fact, I am the presence itself. I am beyond the waker. I know when the waker is. I know when the waker is not. I am beyond the waker. I am present and awake when the waker is absent in the deep sleep state. I am beyond the waker. I am beyond the dreamer. I know when the dreamer is. I know when the dreamer is not. I am beyond the dreamer. I am present and awake when the dreamer is absent in the deep sleep state. I am beyond the dreamer. Only I am in the deep sleep state. I am not asleep. Only I am in the deep sleep state. I am awake. Only I am in the deep sleep state. I am conscious and knowing. Then who sleeps? Who is the sleeper? No one sleeps. There is no sleeper. Deep sleep is a term coined by the waker to mask its own absence. The waker doesn't like the taste of the truth that it disappears, that it is not permanent, that it does not really exist in reality. Deep sleep is only a term coined by the waker to mask its own absence. The reality is that the waker is not asleep. The waker is absent. I, the knowingness, provide this testimony. Not only the waker, but also the dreamer is not asleep. The dreamer is absent too. I, the knowingness, provide this testimony. The waker's ego and the dreamer's ego do not like the idea of their absence. That is why they create a false idea of being asleep. They create the false idea of being present but asleep. They create the false idea of existing but asleep. This is a white lie. It is told by the waker's ego to avoid hurting its own feelings. The truth is, there is nothing like deep sleep state. Only I am. It is the ignorance of the waker that calls me the deep sleep state. It is the ignorance of the dreamer that calls me the deep sleep state. The true knowledge is that I am. I truly am. I never sleep. And I never witness anyone asleep. The waker never sleeps, it just disappears. The dreamer never sleeps, it simply disappears. I never sleep. Nobody sleeps. The word sleep is a misnomer. In reality, only I am. Only I am. Only I am.